We're alive. Hi, my name is Tyriece Simon.
Elijah Jones.
This is episode 37, recapping UFC Vegas 17 of MMA Renegade. Elijah, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. It's been an interesting couple days in New York City. We got
Yep.
snow this past Wednesday night, going into Tuesday. Going early into Thursday morning, and we've been dealing with snow for the last couple of days, but it's getting better. It looks like it's probably going to be snowing again today. I know you said you were outside, but
Yeah, it's definitely snowing now.
as of right now, I'm good. Family's healthy. Everyone's all right. Christmas is coming up. I'm
Mhm.
excited to be taking some time off. How are you doing, Tyrese?
I'm doing good, man. Same as you. Like, family's good. Everybody's healthy. Um, you may hear some people talking in the background because everybody's in the house getting together.
Oh, as am
Um,
I.
yeah. Um, you know, it has gotten to be a really, really good holiday season after a lot of doubts and questions of, cases rising up in New York City and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So, luckily, thankfully, your family's good. My family's good. Hopefully, everybody that's watching, families are good. And, we could get to 2021 and hopefully we could have a better year.
Yes, yes. We appreciate the fans for watching. Of course, we hope you're happy and healthy and you have a safe holiday, of course.
Now, Elijah, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So this is the final UFC card, meaning that this is our final show
Yeah.
of 2020. We're going to be back next year, of course, covering Max Holloway and Kevin Kattar as well. What have you thought about the UFC in 2020 and how they handled everything?
When I think about UFC, I think about UFC being the only organization, sorry, that could have done what happened this year in terms of sports, right? At the height of the COVID pandemic, we know that March is literally end of February to early March was when everything completely shut down, right? They were closing off things. They were going into quarantine. People, unless absolutely deemed necessary, essential workers, the only people who were supposed to be working. Businesses were closed. Everything. Sports alone closed. When we look at what UFC has been able to do in
Mm,
terms of not only getting their company back on the map in terms of opening, getting an island, establishing fight cards, getting testing for their fighters as well as their employees. I mean, it's been a suck ass year, but UFC as a company has done something that many people didn't think was possible. And I truly think I would commend UFC for what they've been able to do during the pandemic. I'm sure there's a lot of things that they could have done better. I'm sure there's a lot
right.
of things that they could have changed. All in all, though, when you look back at 2020 and what the year has done for UFC and what UFC has been able to do with the bad hand that every single person on this planet has been dealt in
Right.
terms of just the pandemic alone, and I hats off to UFC, man. Hats off to UFC. I think it's been a very interesting time in the world, and UFC being able to get back on the map and do the things that they've been doing. I commend them for that.
Yeah.
It couldn't have been easy. Couldn't have been
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah. I don't think it's been easy at all. I have criticism of the UFC in terms of how they may have gone about things, but you can't deny that they were able to make this work, and they did put in place testing and protocol and
Protocol.
their own protocol of how to conduct things to try to minimize risk. I think that at the beginning of this whole COVID fighting, and trying to go back to UFC and fighting again, there were a lot of mishaps. There are issues where Dana kind of, I don't want to say, yes, he did. He kind of you know made it seem like the COVID is not that much of a big deal, and that this thing will pass, and here we are still dealing with it. You have issues with maybe mask being a thing, or fighters getting COVID, and people not knowing, like the Jacare Souza incident that happened earlier this year.
Fighters getting COVID, fight teams getting COVID.
Yeah. So, but I mean that's part of what's happening now. But so I can't put too much on it. They see NFL and NBA people, athletes are getting COVID as well. So there's nothing you can't do about it. But
Yeah.
overall, I do think that the UFC, for what it's worth, they did do a good job in terms of being able to continue fights and being able to have their own set of protocols. So I will
Yeah.
give them credit in that sense.
it's hard, right? When you think about, well, UFC is unlike, UFC and boxing are like unlike every other sport, right? Because every other sport seems is team based, right?
Right,
Basketball, football, soccer, hockey, you name it, most sports are team based. With an individual sport such as UFC, it's like it's the individual and then it's not, right? Because you only one person goes into the octagon at the end of the night. But then you
right,
have a whole fight team, you have fight camps, like these are there's a lot that goes into UFC than what most people would think. And this whole situation has kind of highlighted the bigger risks behind dealing with fighters, especially during a pandemic, and dealing with things like that to make sure your fighters are healthy. So
right,
I think one thing that has good thing that has come out of this is just the spotlight on fighters alone, right? When we
right,
look at what fighters are actually going through, you have guys picking up 4 or 5 fights to make ends meet, right?
right.
You have guys who are fighting consistently. You have guys who can't fight. You have women who can't fight. You have, so it's like you have a lot that's going on. And I think that kind of this during the pandemic, I guess the fighter perspective has been showcased a lot more. Now how we proceed in 2021 is the bigger issue, right? How you go from here, making sure not only there's equality and equity for these fighters, but there's also equity for UFC. But and MMA, MMA organizations as a whole, right? Because
Yeah,
we also see all most organizations coming back, right? We have UFC, we have Bellator, we have LFA,
right.
we have a good amount of promotions taking the necessary steps. So I think with UFC being, of course, the number one MMA or organization, they've definitely been able to trailblaze a lot of those new and innovative protocols and ways to initiate and deal with COVID and still maintain their business.
Yeah, I mean, there are other promotions going alongside the UFC as well.
Yeah,
Minor promotions, but the UFC was the biggest promotion.
yeah,
Um, so again, I give credit to the UFC, and it's for what it's worth. I think at the start of the year, it was building up to be, a really really good year with Conor McGregor being back, with John Jones being back, with all these
yeah.
fighters being available. Jorge Masvidal and Nate Diaz, and it kind of set some things back. Now we're getting Conor McGregor in January again after a year layoff. So I think for what it's worth, they made the most out of this year, and he had some great fights.
Yeah.
Again, hats off to the UFC, hats off to Bellator, hats off to these other promotions, boxing as well. Canelo versus Killian Smith was just yesterday, and again, there's small issues there with crowds, and we're gonna see in January with Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier. Are there gonna be fans there for this fight?
Oh,
Which you
oh,
know you would think that with Conor McGregor you wouldn't have fans there, but again, I think the UFC has done a great job not having fans there and trying to minimize bad publicity and bad risk, because you've just seen yesterday's boxing card. There was fans all in the attendance at Canelo's fight. No match to be seen, and that in this time where cases are going up, problems are
yeah.
coming down. We're going back to another shutdown possibly. It's not the time.
Even with the innovation and the excitement of the vaccine, you still have with vaccines you have people who will take it, you have people who
Right,
won't take it, then you have the people who are stuck in the middle. So
right,
although things are getting better generally around the world, it's a slow process.
right,
And so that's also the interesting part. And so again, 2021, we're looking to see what happens, man.
right. But
Really is.
we're still in 2020. We just had a UFC card just yesterday.
Yes, we did.
Elijah, this is where you start your promo. Go ahead, sir.
Last night, UFC Fight Night, taking place on December 19th in Las Vegas, Nevada at the UFC Center. We had Stephen Wonder Boy Thompson, a perennial contender in the welterweight division, a man known for his kickboxing, taekwondo, in and out,
What's up? Go
stylistic
ahead.
striking, versus Jeff Neal, a new and upcomer in the welterweight division, a man who's been on a surge of fights, man who has had performances and knockouts in his last, I believe, 3. And last night, these men collided in a 5-round main event with Stephen Wonderboy Thompson holding a top 10 position and Jeff Neal looking to crack into the top 10, being in the top 15. We had what ended in a unanimous decision with the winner, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Tyreece, please give us your details and analytics on the fight.
Um, so when I was watching this fight, one of the things I was curious about when we talked about this off air and just by ourselves was how is Jeff Neal going to close the gap, and how is Jeff Neal going to stop the movement of Stephen Thompson? Because we know Stephen Thompson, if you can't point fight him, you can't outstrike Stephen Thompson.
It's just no, you can't.
That's
not a thing. That's not a thing.
So we were thinking about we both had Stephen Thompson winning. It was just off the fact that you can't outpoint Stephen Thompson, and we were not sure that Jeff Neal's power can lead to him knocking out Stephen Thompson. You can't touch him. And that's pretty much what played out in this fight. What played out in this fight was Jeff Neal, I think his goal was to knock Stephen Thompson out or try to hurt him at least. And Stephen Thompson was able to just dance around that whole octagon. He was able to move side to side. He was able to anytime Jeff Neal would try to trap him, he would get out of angles and land strikes off the break. He did well in the clinch. Stephen Thompson did well all over the place, and he pretty much outclassed and outschooled Jeff Neal in this fight.
I don't disagree with you, brother. I mean, we talked about this pre-fight, right? Anyone who fights Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, we know three things: Stephen Thompson's creativity when it comes to fighting. Flathead Powell just says C+ for the last night's fights. I didn't watch all the fights though. Hope you guys are doing well. Flathead, I hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing great. Hope you and your family, you and yours are good. Make sure you're healthy, stay safe. Hope you happy holidays. But anyone who fights Stephen Thompson, we wonder three things: can they overcome his striking? We all know that's not going to happen, right? 2, are they going to be able to actually close the gap and hit him? With the level of striking, he has good wrestling defense. Never has to use it because he does, he dances around. So they're not going to close the gap. If they can't close the gap and strike, we know that's never going to happen. And then the third one is you have to have some type of special attribute in order to beat this man. When we look back at the Anthony Pettis fight, right? We know Anthony Pettis is flashy. He takes big risks. We know that's what he does. And the Superman punch off the cage landed him the knockout. That's fine, right? Even then, Wonderboy was winning that fight.
Yes.
And so watching this fight, again, we talked about it. Stephen Wonderboy, first thing we said Wonderboy. And it was like, can Jeff Neal overcome? It seems like the guys that Wonderboy are fighting now after Tyron Woodley don't seem to be just the caliber that Stephen Wonderboy is, in my opinion, right? It seems like Wonderboy in the Vicente Luque fight, the first round was like all right, this is kind of slightly more feeling out, but definitely towards Wonderboy. Right. Then after the 2 rounds, then 2 rounds, 2 and round 3, he was able to just get the pause, bam, tap, hit combinations, unleashed and dropped the Vicente Luque. In this fight, I didn't see a round where I was like, maybe Jeff Neal. I definitely just didn't. Right. And then I think that was the tail of the tape. Flathead Politics says Jeff stood in front of Thompson too much, in my opinion. It's allowed Thompson to patiently pick his shots. I mean, that's what everybody does. If I'm being honest with you, there's not too many opponents besides Tyron Woodley who were able to handle Stephen Thompson. And even, again, if you go back and watch our videos, I think we've done a talk about Stephen Thompson versus Woodley at one point, right?
I think so.
Even then, Tyreece, I remember Tyreece is skeptical about that. Like, oh, Tyron Woodley didn't really win. It's so hard to beat this guy because of how good he is. So, I mean, rounds 1 through round 5, I saw it happening the way it did. I appreciate Jeff Neal getting the clinch up against the cage, but he didn't work in the clinch. I think that's the biggest thing. You have to work in the clinch against a guy like Stephen Thompson.
So, a couple of things stuck out to me while watching the fight. One thing I want to say, agree with Flathead. I'll put it up here. Flathead Politics says Jeff stood in front of Thompson too much. In my opinion, this allowed Thompson to patiently pick his shots. So the thing I realized about Stephen Thompson is I think just like with Conor McGregor, when it comes to him manipulating you and getting the pre-fights and getting into your head, and we have fighters like that as well. I think Ben Askren comes to mind, another one that gets inside your head.
There's a million fighters. Yeah,
right. Nate Diaz is one. Stephen Thompson is on the other side of the spectrum where he is just so nice to where you respect him too much. And that's one of the things that stuck out to me was that I think Jeff Neal, rightfully so, because Stephen Thompson comes off as a great guy and is well respected in the community. I thought Jeff Neal respected Thompson too much to where it frustrated him. To where like there was moments where, if you watch the fight, there's moments where there's like breaks in between where like they're just both standing still, and you see them they're touching gloves, or they're hugging before the fight, or they're talking and having not bad conversations, but having good dialogue between each other. And I think it throws people off, and I think it threw Jeff Neal off yesterday, where Jeff Neal is kind of just mesmerized by Stephen Thompson's strike, but also is not willing to, like, it wasn't to the fifth round where he started to go for it.
Yeah.
But
the fifth round was a big change from the first four.
There was moments where Jeff Neal was, not attacking, was, letting Stephen Thompson, get himself together, or there was times where he's talking, he's slapping fives with Stephen Thompson. It was really odd to see. There was even one moment where before that round ended, it was like 3 seconds left in the round, and they just stood there, and he pounds him and walks away. And the round's not even over yet.
I mean, you do see that camaraderie in guys like Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. You sometimes see that. I forget the fight, but there was a fight where I think it was either Paul Felder or I think it was Daniel Cormier. Was like, stop slapping. No, sorry, Michael Bisping. Michael Bisping commented one time. It was like, stop slapping hands and go fight. And I laughed because like there's an aspect to the sport that you see these guys like Conor McGregor, trash talk and things like that. And you're like, oh yeah, like this gets the fight going. Then you see guys like Wonderboy, and it's like, I'm not trash talking. This is my job. I can beat you. I can beat your ass, but I can also smile in your face while doing it, So it's like,
you get too much respect to your opponent.
I agree. I also do think that the skill set that Jeff Neal has isn't ready to take on a guy like Wonderboy just yet.
No, and I agree. And that was my second point.
Yeah, I'm going to let you finish, but I think if that's leading to your second point, that's a good transition, because I just don't think with the experience that Neal has as of right now, that alone stands up against a guy who like Wonderboy Thompson and the caliber of people he's fought at a consistent level in the top 10. Okay.
Yeah. So like with Jeff Neal, the commentators kept saying, one punch from Jeff Neal could finish this whole fight. One punch from Jeff Neal could turn this fight around. And
I heard that, and I was like,
and like I was thinking to myself, I was trying to think of myself, when is there one time where one punch ever led to a knockout for Jeff Neal? There hasn't been. It's always been a combination of punches that led to knockouts. It wasn't Jeff Neal doesn't have one shot knockout power. He has power. He has
power and technique.
Exactly. So his combinations could lead to knockouts, but he doesn't have one punch knockout power, and it's proven to have that. So like this whole entire time, the commentators kept saying, all it takes is one punch. One punch could change this whole fight. If Jeff Neal had that punching power in round 4 or 5, it could change. Like, to me, it was like, no, it has to be combination to set up the punches. And Jeff Neal wasn't able to even get Thompson to stand still enough to land those shots. Maybe when he did, he didn't do anything with it. The one thing that stuck out to me as well was the leg kicks. There was no leg kicks really from Jeff Neal in this fight till later on, and then it started to hurt Stephen Thompson, which in my opinion, like, that to me should have been the game plan from round 1, was to get the leg kicks going so that you can stop the movement of Stephen Thompson to where you could actually get him in positions to actually land the combinations.
Now, I think Jeff Neal, the biggest thing in this fight is to have learned from the Vicente Luque fight, right? First round, Vicente Luque starts off strong, starts throwing leg kicks, trying to chain jab crosses, right? Trying to get those counter hooks going just to get the distance. That worked up until Thompson started switching stances.
Right.
And that was, I think that's another big issue for Jeff Neal, because Jeff Neal stands in the southpaw position, right? And I think Jeff Neal generally, if he's fighting an orthodox guy, he tends to like to throw the jab, and that high kick comes out of nowhere. We've seen it with what's his name, Mike Perry. That's what kind of got him. We've seen this with
Frank
Camacho, Bilal Muhammad, right? He's been able to drop people with head kicks. Like, that's good. I think with a guy like Wonderboy, the issue was between, if you were to kick, he'd just go switch back and forth. But again, like you said, like, the kind of being starstruck, you kind of saw those things where it was like, oh, he's not doing these things. What's going on? The second thing is I think it's the 4th round, maybe, correct me if I'm wrong. They had a clinch position, and once they were done, the round ended. Wonderboy had a right knee problem. You saw him stretching after that.
Yes. Right.
I, for one, know this. If that's the issue, leg kick, break the leg, destroy the leg. I'm not trying to sound like the guy from Cobra Kai, but realistically, you're behind 4-0. Like, there was not a round I could give to Jeff Neal if you could.
No, there was not a round. I thought it would have across the board. I thought one of the things as well was, I'm looking at I was looking at like the Darren Till fights, and you can even look at the Anthony Pettis fights, even the Tyron Woodley fights. Like those fights are particularly, it's more Stephen Thompson is outpointing and outstriking these guys, and it's when you have to engage and make Stephen Thompson make a mistake, and that's when you can counter. Jeff Neal wasn't able to do anything really. Always, like Cynthia Lickley was trying to walk down Stephen Thompson and try to set up traps, but he didn't do anything with it. He got him in a position where he's against the cage, and again maybe it's a respect factor, but he didn't try to let his hands go into the fifth round. When he let his hands go, and then he had his best success in the fifth round.
Yeah. I think one of the bigger issues, like you said, was that he was stagnant, right? I think everyone tries to walk Stephen down, and the alternative is for Stephen to come forward on you. Now we know when Stephen comes forward on you, he's probably going to finish you, right? Because he can throw a multitude of kicks, whether it be teep kick, push kick, side kick, spinning back kick, spinning hook kick. Like he can throw it all. Generally, he's a counter striker, right? But when we see him push forward on people, we actually do tend to see that he has that finishing ability. Now he's not the Conor McGregor. He's not striking you, hitting you, and gets you out there. But he's a guy who kind of turns it up on you after seeing that you can't handle certain strikes. We've seen this in the Jake Ellenberger fight. We've seen this in the what's the former welterweight champion Johnny Hendricks fight, right?
Yeah.
We've seen those in those kind of fights. So when Masvidal fight, exactly. When in this fight, it was interesting because it seemed like Jeff Neal again didn't throw any leg kicks the first round, kind of tried to walk him down, and Wonderboy was just in and out. So it just at a certain point, I wondered in my own right, I was like, what are you gonna do in order to beat this guy? Because this is for sure gonna go around for the next 4 rounds.
Yes.
There's just if this goes out again, that was the thing for me. After just one round with Wonderboy. One round with Wonderboy will tell you who's going to win that fight, generally, in my opinion. Just from watching MMA and just from talking to you, and we've talked about Wonderboy's career. That's just it. Rory too. Even in the Rory fight, that's what happened. So It's just like I don't know, man. I don't know. It's not a bad nod at Jeff Neal. I think Jeff Neal stepped up to face a very, very tough opponent in Wonderboy that most people in the top 10 cannot figure out.
Let me see. Flathead Politics says, you guys are right. It seemed like he wasn't really giving 100%. He wasn't fighting mad. Jeff not going after the leg injury reflects on the lack of aggression and casual approach to the fight. Yeah, again, I think Stephen Thompson has this ability where his niceness and his attitude makes you respect him so much, especially in this fight show. Yeah. But in this fight show, much where like you're cautious. You're not willing to go in there and be aggressive, and you're like you have moments where he's trapped against the cage and it's go time. Like now is your time. Your best chance right now is to work. Yeah. In these clinch exchanges where you're in the clinch, your best chances are to let your hands go in the clinch and go to the body or try to stop the movement of Stephen Thompson. And it just seemed like he was just trying to headhunt and trying to just catch him with this one-shot power that people keep saying that he has, but he hasn't shown in his fights. And yeah, it led to a victory for Thompson.
I believe his nickname is Hands of Steel, right?
Yes.
I think Jeff Neal is a powerhouse when it comes to, right? He's a powerhouse type of fighter where he has the technique. If he catches you, he can hurt you. He may not be he can counter, but he can also push forward and kind of dictate what's going on. I think what realistically you have to do with a guy like Thompson is, I'm not saying take the Tyron Woodley approach, right? But you can't give him too much. You can't give him too much. I think Woodley had it the best in terms of anyone's ever fought him. And even the Darren Till fight, I don't think Darren Till did all that well against him. I thought that was way too close.
But to your point with Tyron Woodley and Darren Till, like those fights were fights where you trying to knock out Stephen Thompson is not going to happen unless you cause him to come in forward and you catch him with something.
The game plan it can't be number one, knock him out. That's not realistic.
Right. So like your best bet of beating Stephen Thompson is to attack the legs. Attack the legs, attack the body. Don't try to headhunt. Attack the body, attack the legs.
Combination. And start combination and combination.
and then you could try to go to the head, and then those opportunities will appear for himself. But you have to slow Stephen Thompson down. He's going to keep dancing on you and keep moving side to side and keep going with the jab, exiting out, going with the body kick, exiting out. Like, he's too dynamic for you to think you can try to headhunt.
Way too dynamic. And
You have
when
to
you
go
pressure
hard.
him, again, clinch works against a guy like him. You
Right.
I think again, when he fights guys who are physically strong, that's another issue for him that gets presented. He does well against them, but also Stephen Thompson's a strong guy, but he can be, like, from what you've seen, everyone's generally smaller than him. They can push him against the cage, right?
Right.
So they find some way to get a clinch in. So I think to beat him, you have to be able, not only creative, but you have to make sure that you're not dancing with him is the biggest thing.
Right.
If you dance with him, he dances around you. And
Right.
you cannot have that. The Tyrion Woodley fight, Tyrion at the beginning was like, oh, like Stephen Thompson's talking crap. Like, you have to essentially hate a guy like Stephen Wonderboy in order to beat him. I'm sorry. I think that.
No, yeah, you're right. You
have to hate him because he's just too damn lovable, in my opinion. Too damn lovable. So, anywho, moving on. Tyreece, we'll start with Jeff Neal. Where do you think Jeff Neal goes from here?
That's an interesting question. Also, thank you to the viewers that's watching. We appreciate you. Please tell us what you think about what we're saying and what you think about the card itself.
Yes.
Definitely love to hear from you guys. But with Jeff Neal, it's not a bad loss. It's definitely a dominant loss, and a dominant win for Stephen Thompson.
Yeah.
For Jeff Neal, maybe you look at outside the top 15.
Yeah. Maybe
look at outside the top 15. Maybe look at a fight from there. I don't think he gets a top 15 or top 10 guy now. He's ranked, I believe, 12th.
Yeah,
he's
definitely. Number 11. Sorry,
11, right? You got Bilal Muhammad is coming up in the rankings. Robbie Lawler is still there. Chimaev is ranked number 15. He's going to fight Leon Edwards soon, so
yeah,
that's something. Maybe Vicente Luque. I don't see Vicente Luque fighting him. It can. I see probably Jeff Neal fighting somebody outside the top 15.
I think it's better if you're building the talent the way they did last night. And we're not saying that because he lost to Wonderboy, he's down, right? Jeff Neal is obviously a phenomenal talent for welterweight division. He's got the look, he's got the hands, he's got the ability. Now with a guy like that, you kind of want to build him up. So a guy, he's good. He's good. Again, at a certain level in UFC, it has to be just much more that you have to bring to the table. So a guy outside of the top 15 makes the most sense. I don't think I want him to fight anyone in the 15 because I don't really feel that a guy like, I don't see him fighting Pettis, if I'm being honest with you. Pettis is looking for money fights. I don't think Bilal Muhammad's going to fight him because they've already fought, and Bilal Muhammad actually just dropped his fight because he had COVID, so we don't even know where that's going on. Chimaev is supposed to fight, Leon Edwards. So as of right now, let's take some time off. Again, fight out of the top 15 is your best bet.
And also, Jeff Neal also is somebody that recovered from COVID as well, I believe, right? So, we got to see what kind of long-term ramification that has as well with Jeff Neal.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one fight I want to see with Jeff Neal. I think somebody that deserves a top 15 opponent, Sean Brady. I keep talking about Sean Brady in the welterweight division. Like, he is a guy that's undefeated. He is continuing to show that he is a contender in this division.
That's a good matchup.
I would like to see Sean Brady take on somebody like Jeff Neal. I think Sean Brady has a fight lined up. If Sean Brady gets back by his next fight, let's see Sean Brady versus Jeff Neal in 2021. If Jeff Neal is okay, and if everything's everything's okay in the right place.
Yeah, I think that's a solid fight.
I think the biggest question out of all of this is who the hell is going to beat Stephen Thompson?
My answer is no one. I don't see anyone beating Stephen Thompson.
It gets difficult.
So let's look at the top 5 people, right? We have number 1 being Colby Covington, number 2 being Gilbert Burns, number 3 being Leon Edwards, number 4 being Jorge Masvidal. Stephen Thompson's number 5 on this list. He's not moving up because of the rankings. He fought someone lower than him, so he's going to stay put. I think the issue with Stephen Wonderboy is that I don't know what is happening with the top 4 or 5 guys, but he can beat every single one of these guys.
Yeah.
He has the ability to beat Colby. He definitely has the ability to beat Gilbert. He has the ability to beat
he already beat Masvidal.
Leon should have fought him, honestly, in my opinion. I think Leon should have fought him. Interesting fight. I think Leon kind of missed out, But again, you do what's in your best interest. I think that would have been a great matchup to be. Maybe this is at a time like this, it's who's fighting more often. That's kind of the vibe of UFC, right?
Right.
It's like who's fighting more often, who's the top, who's winning, who can fight now. Had they fought, you never know if that person could have gotten the belt because Gilbert Burns, he stayed heavy at welterweight, fought Damian Maia, and now it fought Tyron Woodley, and now he's a title contender, right?
Right, but also Leon Edwards is also across the pond. He has, travel issues going to be a thing.
Yeah, it's a lot.
He also has COVID now, so like that's an also issue. I hope he gets better as well.
So,
but with Stephen Thompson though, like you're saying, like the top 5 guys, including the champion, I think Kamaru Usman has a problem with Stephen Thompson because again, like you can't, it's going to be hard to take Stephen Thompson down. So you're going to be forced to strike with him,
and you don't want to do that.
And for Kamaru Usman, his striking has definitely gotten better. You can obviously see from the Colby Covington fight to the Jorge Masvidal fight, I think his striking has improved, is improving. But Stephen Thompson is a guy which you're not going to look good against. So even if Kamaru Usman beats Stephen Thompson, I don't know if it's going to be a convincingly good fight. It's going to be a tough fight for him to actually win.
If that fight comes to fruition, I think Steven may get the nod. I have to see how he does. I have to see how Kamaru does against these next two opponents. And I sincerely hope Stephen Wonderboy is within the next 2 opponents for Kamaru Usman, right? But with that being said, again, I don't see these guys in the top 5 beating Wonderboy as decisively as people think, and I don't think
or beating them at all.
Yeah. So I think for Wonderboy, unfortunately, and this is the position he's stuck in, right? He has to wait. He has to wait. There's no ifs, and or buts, right? You have a fight with Kamal versus Burns in the works for sometime between February and March. We don't have a timetable. Right. Then you have Jorge Masvidal versus Colby. Then you have Leon and everyone engaged. So I think he should take the winner of either Kamaev. I mean, I don't want him to fight the winner of Kamaev versus thing because I don't know if Kamaev even gets it done. But winner of Kamaev versus my boy Leon Edwards or Colby versus Masvidal. That's the only fights that make sense.
No, I think that is the fight that makes sense. I think the winner of Leon Edwards and Kamaev. I think that they're trying to. I'm looking on MMA Junkie right now. By Nolan King. Shout out to Nolan King. Nolan King says the UFC is targeting Edwards versus Kamaev for January 20th on the. I think isn't that the
card as Connor?
Yeah, the same card as Connor.
They're targeting it. Too little. I hope that's not too little time because he just got diagnosed early December, late November with it, and I would hope that he has good ramifications here, but I don't know. I'm interested.
Politics says Chiesa versus Thompson. He also says Chiesa smashes Thompson. I totally disagree. That is a bad matchup.
I'll say this.
Bad matchup.
Michael Chiesa gets the pause on you at 170. He's definitely got your number. However, Stephen Wonderboy would light him the fuck up. Yeah. I'm sorry. I go back to the Three Ninjas reference where they're all kicking that dummy and the dummy's lighting up in those vital spots like bow, 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 ding, ding.
Exactly.
Like Chiesa's good. Chiesa's good. Solid welterweight. I'm glad he moved up from 155. He's definitely
it's a terrible matchup.
Terrible matchup.
Number one.
I don't even want to.
No, but it's important to say because Thompson is hard to take down. Thompson is hard to take down and keep down. Number 2, if Chiesa is a welterweight, but he's not a big welterweight. He's not somebody.
He's pretty. He's actually Chiesa's pretty. He was always big for the lightweight division. I believe Michael Chiesa is upwards of 6 foot.
Right. But he like to me, he's not an imposing welterweight. I could be wrong. In your opinion, he may be imposing. To me, he's not an imposing welterweight.
I don't think he's good for that division. I don't think he is someone you would consider to be the most physically imposing. I do think his grapple, with his grapple heavy style and his newfounded creativity that he's trying to make on the feet, he's able to mix it in very well in terms of striking. He's filled out significantly more than when he was at welterweight, and I think it's a much more natural weight for him. I think being that Stephen Thompson, I think 6'2", maybe 6'3". I don't know.
6'3".
Yeah, right. I think that's a much more even matchup, physically speaking, than compared to with a lot of these other
Really?
guys. Physically speaking, I do think it's a little bit more similar,
Okay.
because they're both the same height. I think they have a similar reach, but the striking is just I just don't think he can overcome that hurdle, and he's not taking him down.
Yeah, I think with Chiesa, again, I don't think he. I don't. I think he is a welterweight. I don't think he is. I don't think he's. I don't think he's a welterweight dropping down. I don't think he. I don't think he's a welterweight dropping down in weight. I think he's more of a natural welterweight.
He's a natural his body itself. I can guarantee you he's a natural welterweight. He's not a
Right.
middleweight. He
Right.
may go high, but he's a middleweight. I'm sorry, I'm a welterweight. I
And
agree with
I see, again, these other top five guys, they're more or less dropping down to get to the welterweight limit and having to have a tough weight cut. I think Chiesa is more of a natural welterweight than those guys, and I think it's more of when Chiesa. I think speaking of Chiesa, when Chiesa fights the upper echelon of guys in the welterweight division, how will he do against guys that are actually way bigger than? Because I do think Kobe Covington is bigger than him. I do think Masvidal is bigger than him. I do think Kamaru Usman is bigger than him. I do think
I think
Stephen Thompson is bigger than
Kamaru.
him.
I don't think Masvidal is necessarily bigger than him. I definitely think Kobe is though. I
I
think
think
Masvidal's.
Masvidal is bigger.
I think Masvidal is a. I think Masvidal is again another natural 170er. I don't think he's as big as you. Like I don't think he's again Masvidal is actually a lot taller than people give him credit for. I
Right.
think he's a leaner fighter when he gets a camp to actually prepare for a fight. He's a leaner 170er. But the issue with Masvidal is he's tall, and a lot of people don't realize his reach. He doesn't have the longest reach, but he's able to hit you when you don't think he is.
Well, we've seen Masvidal. Like we've seen Masvidal live. Like
I would still,
from what
yeah,
hour we've seen of him live.
yeah.
Like even from where we were, like he is bigger than what I
Oh,
thought he was.
I think Masvidal has finally filled out at 170. Going
Yeah.
back from when he first jumped up and fought Cowboy, I think he's definitely filled out and he's maintained that 170 body that he's good. But I still think physically wise, I do think Michael Case is bigger than him. But that being bigger than somebody doesn't mean skill. That again, that means nothing to turn the whole thing. Bottom
Right.
line is, if Chiesa were to fight Wonderboy, I just don't that fight. I'm gonna go 99.9 times out of 10 ends with Wonderboy finishing him. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So it brings me to this point of where Stephen Thompson goes from here. I think the winner of Edwards and Chimaev, if Edwards can't get booked on that card,
Yeah.
maybe you do Thompson versus Chimaev, and then the winner of that is, as crazy as it sounds, are either one fight away or are the next contenders, because I think they're trying to do Kobe Covington versus Jorge Masvidal. That is potentially a number one contender fight.
I think that fight kind of exists outside of the realm of the welterweight rankings, in my opinion, right? I think because like the winner of that's definitely going to get Kamaru because both those guys lost to him.
Yeah, Flau, I didn't want to say it, but yeah, 99
times. Hey, I want you to say
it is
99 times out of 10.
11:40 in the morning. Elijah just had a rough night last night.
No, I said that on purpose because I just don't see him winning. I don't see Chiesa beating him.
On purpose. Okay.
I said that on purpose. I think Chiesa has the skills and the tools to do it, but 99, I'm going to go 99 out of 10. It doesn't matter. There's no ratio where I see maybe one fight with the grappling, but I just don't see him being able to beat him. I'm sorry.
See, I tried to give you a excuse saying he was hungover, but you're gonna keep saying 99 out of 10. I can't help you out there, but
doesn't matter. I'm not wrong.
With Thompson, I think with Chimaev, that fight, and they're trying to build Chimaev as a title contender. Yeah, I think Stephen Thompson takes that fight. If he beats Chimaev,
beats the winner of them.
He is the number one contender. We could possibly see him fight next year. Who knows how negotiations maybe with Masvidal and Kobe Covington too. You know.
I think the Kobe fight exists out of the realm of the rankings almost, because that fight is the guy who wins that fight essentially will probably get a welterweight shot right after, if the fights that are going on after just aren't as exciting. Whoever gets finished, whoever does the finishing in that fight will definitely get a title shot, in my opinion. But again, contracts happen, things like that happen. We'll see how it goes.
So Stephen Thompson in 2021 looks like he could be get another chance at the title, which is crazy to me.
I mean, he should have gotten it by now, but it is what it is.
Yeah. So let's group this two fights together, right? So we had a lot of movement in the bantamweight division as well. We had Rob Font beat Marlon Rice. Marlon Rice is ranked number 2
by finish,
number 2 in the world by finish. And then we had Jose Aldo defeat a rising contender in Chito Vera last night by unanimous decision. Elijah, what do you think of? I'm going to ask you just as a broad question. What do you think of the bantamweight division? How it looks like in 2021? Like
it's probably going to be the most exciting. It's going to be the most exciting division, I think.
Isn't it though?
In my opinion, you've always been a fan of the lower weight classes, right? I've always been a fan of flyweight. I've always been a fan of bantamweight, and I've always been a fan of lightweight. When we look at the guys who these, and again, they tend to have a lot more fighters in the upper, right? And then the title doesn't change as much, but you tend to have the top 10 rankings seem to change a lot. Right. In the lower weights than compared to the higher weights. What we're looking at is is just a multitude of talent for the bantamweight, and bantamweight's going to be crazy next year, and especially with the addition of TJ Dillashaw coming off suspension.
Yeah, and you also have Frankie Edgar is now there. Jose Aldo, like we said, is there. You have Rise contenders still there. I think Chito Vera. Let's talk about that fight real quick. I thought Chito Vera had a good showing. It was just Jose Aldo just had more to give.
I think the hands were the issue. I think Jose Aldo's boxing and striking tend to be it's a lot more than most. I wouldn't say it's a lot more than most people handle. It just presents a lot of issues in terms of a fight. And so if you can prepare for that, then you can beat him. My thing with this fight is I think this could have been a 5-round fight. And I would have loved to see this actually go 5 rounds. This would have been a very amazing showing for Chito Vera, especially, rising a contender for the bantamweight fight. And this also would have been a great showing for Jose Aldo, who's coming off a 3-fight skid. This would have definitely showcased his skill if he was able to either get the finish or have a unanimous decision like his old days.
Yeah, I hear you saying that. At the same time, though, if Jose Aldo doesn't have to go 5 rounds in his career,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like he's done it multiple times in his career, especially in a new weight class as well. Yeah, I don't think it needed to go 5 rounds, but I get what you're saying.
I would have loved to see this fight as a 5-round fight.
Yeah, I thought Chito Vera had a good showing in the second round. I thought the third round, I thought he was finally getting his groove in the second and third round, but it was just Jose Aldo just had
grappling.
Which you rarely see from Jose Aldo. Really uses grappling
aside from takedown defense.
Yeah, so it was interesting to see him do that, which shows possibly him adjusting to the bantamweight division and adjusting to having to work for 15, 25 minutes at a lower weight class. But I thought overall, he looked good. I think Jose Aldo is still somebody that could be a threat and somebody that's still a name in the bantamweight division.
I don't see Jose Aldo getting the belt. I do see him being in the top for a while though, and because of his skill set, his experience, that's the biggest thing for me. A lot of people, it's gonna be hard for a lot of people to beat him, and so I wonder if. I don't know if he's going to be in a position like Wonder Boy, but it's going to get to a point where what does he do now? Because he's fighting the top guys and he's gotten to the belt. He's going to get to the belt. I think he's going to potentially get to the belt again. But if he fights the top guy and he can't win, what happens? So,
yeah, I think with Jose Aldo, I think he can be a title contender again. I think he can.
I don't think he's going to be champion. I don't know.
I think he can be champion. I think it determines on a matchup. I think if you do Jose Aldo versus Peter Yan again, I don't know if that goes a different way. I think let's say Aljo beats Peter Yan, which is possible. Can Aljo beat Jose Aldo?
I think he can. That's hard. I think he can, but it's hard.
Yeah,
that's hard. I don't know if I just don't know. There's just so many people. The top's going to get very convoluted very, very soon, especially with the addition of TJ Dillashaw. And then who knows if Henry Cejudo actually decides to come back.
Right. I think like Jose Aldo had alluded to. I think a TJ Dillashaw versus Jose Aldo fight makes a whole lot of sense, and I think it's
would be phenomenal. I would love to see that fight.
That's a great fight. You talk about super fights for Jose Aldo? That's a big fight for him.
That's a big fight. That's a main event on a fight night. It's a main event on a fight night. It's probably gonna be. I think it may be a 3-round fight, but that's a main event on a fight night.
No, I mean that fight it definitely could be a 5-round fight,
But it's
especially.
going to be a 3, right? Because he's coming back. I don't see him taking a 5-round fight just right off the bat.
No, but then again, who knows? T. Dillashaw is crazy. He'll probably take a 5-round fight just to prove that he can
do it.
He can do it. So who knows? With Chito Vera, I think Chito Vera, I think he's still a top 15 contender. I think he's still a contender in that division. Maybe you do Chito Vera versus a what the guy that Aljamain Sterling trains with.
I think Dvalishvili.
Marab.
I actually think he's scheduled to face somebody.
I don't think so, but who knows? I think you can do that fight. I do think Chito Vera is someone that is contender worthy. It's just who do you match him up against?
It's hard at this point because he's beaten a good amount of people. Honestly, if I'm being honest with you, I really would love to see him run it back with was it Song Yadong?
Song Yadong?
Was that the person he beat on? Am I thinking of someone else? I think he fought Song Yadong and then he lost, and it was not really a loss.
I think you're right. I think it was something where the fact of it's a controversy of whether he won the fight or lost the fight. Maybe people thought he won the fight. It was Song Yadong.
Yeah, Song Yadong. He lost that unanimous, and it was like, wait a minute, what? So I think a fight because Song Yadong is actually on the bench. I think Song Yadong stepped up to featherweight, but if
it's a featherweight fight.
I don't know if he wants to go back to being a bantamweight because he's still ranked number 15. So if that's a fight I'd be interested in seeing them run it back. Pedro Munoz, he could be a good fight for him. There's a good amount of guys, but then there isn't because you don't want to fight too many people within the top, 5 to 10 spots because then you kind of get to a space where it's like, if you win, do you go high? Like it's stagnant. So I get it, but I would like to see that fight. Pedro Munoz, I'd go that way.
Okay, I can see that fight too. Going now towards Rob Font beating Marlon Moraes. We gotta talk about this. So Marlon Moraes, he was once a title contender. He was once somebody else fighting for was it the interim title? Was it the vacant title at one point? And he lost to Henry Cejudo, and then he has to rebound. He had the controversial win against Aldo, which many people, including myself, I thought Aldo won the fight. He's lost to his last fight was against Corey Sandhagen. He lost that fight. He lost the fight against Rob Font. Where does Marlon Moraes go from here? Because at one point he was looked at as the guy for the bantamweight division. He was looked at as the person who was going to be the top of the division at one point.
Well, okay, when you look at a guy like Marlon Moraes, he's fought the upper echelon of the upper echelon in the division. He's fighting guys who are on the projected path to be possibly UFC champion.
Right.
Coming from World Series of Fighting when he's had a major success, coming into UFC, challenging for the belt, right? Losing to Henry Cejudo, going back fighting. He's on a roll where he's fighting these tough fights. Right. If I'm his fight camp or if I'm him, I want a guy anywhere between the spots of 10 and 15. Let's get you back. Let's get you going. Let's get you to really kind of work. I would like to see him versus a guy like maybe Cody Stamann. Maybe someone who's not ranked. It's all possible, really. I would take some time off because this is the second finish in his last 2 fights. He's been finished by Cody Sandhagen and now by Rob Font. So let's get him. Let's first off take some time off because being finished is kind of the worst thing for your head. But I want to see him maybe fight somebody, maybe not in the top 15. Maybe build back up. Who knows? Or I don't see him going up, in my opinion. I don't.
No, I don't see that either. I think he is a bantamweight. We talk about natural people. I think he's a natural bantamweight.
I would like to see him maybe fight somebody outside. Who knows?
He TKO lost to Henry Cejudo. TKO lost to Corey Sandhagen. TKO lost to Rob Font. I think with Marlon Moraes, it comes down to, what can he do in this division and what he has left in the division. He started off like just
magic,
on fire, and pure then he has the knockout win over Aljamain Sterling, which is still there for a rematch in the future. So like he has credible wins. He has wins against title contenders. It's just the fact of just this last string of luck. It seems like it's been going on in his favor. He had the quick loss to Corey Sandhagen, and he had this fight. Talking about this fight, he just twitched up. He grappled. He was just grappling this fight, which I thought was good.
I was impressed because I
Yes.
mean, it wasn't as if he was landing these straight heavy shots, but when you see grappling, I like to know that you have a diverse skill set as a fighter,
Right.
and that's what he showed.
Yeah, I liked how he got taken out. He grabbed the wrist and was able to take him down, which I thought was great. He just couldn't hold him there, and then we seen why. Rob Font with his reach. Once it got to the
big bantamweight, and he has power.
Yeah, once it got to the feet, Rob Font was just able to just connect, and he got the uppercut, and the fight could have been stopped a lot sooner than it did, and Rob Font is now your guy at the bantamweight division. He's probably going to be a top 5 opponent now, five contender now.
He can demand a guy in the top 5.
So where does Rob Font go from here, do you think?
If I'm Rob Font, I would. If I'm Rob Font, right, and you could ask for a guy like Jimmy Rivera. You could ask for a guy like Pedro Munoz. We have Cody Gambrandt. We have no timetable when he comes back. He just beat the number 3 guy.
Right. He also has other issues going on, and he's possibly going to flyweight, so we don't know what's going on with there.
If I'm him, you could ask for a fight. I mean, the most sense is Pedro Munoz or Rafael Assunção. But I mean, Dominic Cruz, no one has a timetable. I mean, there's people for him to fight.
Cruz is fighting somebody, I believe, outside of the rankings.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that fight is happening. Cruz is fighting somebody outside the rankings. I don't know exactly who it is. I didn't look. We didn't look this up before we start talking about it. But yeah. Cruz is fighting somebody outside the rankings for sure.
Okay.
That I know of.
I know who it. I think I know who it is. I'm gonna look it up. Casey Kenny. Case Kenny.
Yes, Case Kenny. Yeah. So who knows? Maybe the winner of that fight he fight. But I think with Rob Font, I think a fight against, let's say, the winner or the loser of Corey Sandhagen and Frankie Edgar.
For sure.
I think that's the next move, because then you have some traction, and then you could possibly work your way. He'll probably be ranked in the top 6. I'll probably see Aljo stay at 1, Corey Sandhagen stay at 2. Possibly you get Cody Garbrandt at 3, Edgar at 4, and maybe Rob Font at 5.
Yeah, again, this is all pending where TJ Dillashaw comes in too, right? Like, it's just a lot going on. So
right, so a lot could change. I think Rob Font definitely set himself up to have a big 2021. That whole entire crew, that I think it's Calvin Cater as well as part of that camp as well. Yeah, like
the Boston guys. They're pretty good.
like they're it's small, but there's a movement happening. There's something that you got that I think viewers and everybody should watch out for. Is there's something bubbling, and we could see something happening there. And Calvin Cater faces Max Holloway, the former featherweight champion,
on the 16th.
If Calvin Cater can beat Max Holloway, I think that whole entire Boston crew.
Yep.
Like that, start paying attention to that. Start paying attention to what's going on there, because they're building something special there. And again, once the confidence of one person gets it and this person gets it, everybody starts getting it. And again, just watch out for it. Just watch out for it. But I thought Rob Font did a great job. Elijah, was there any other fights on this card that stuck out to you?
Now that you bring it up, I'm just going to mention really quickly, because I know we're, of course, we're making sure we go on time, but we also want to make sure the fans, enjoy what we're saying. There was one fight with Chaos Williams versus Pereira. That was interesting to me. I didn't see it going unanimous decision. I thought it was going to be split, but maybe what I was watching was when everyone else was watching. How did you feel about that fight?
I thought Michel, I thought he did a great job. I thought one of the things that with Chaos, I think he I felt like when Chaos let his hands go, like when in the beginning we saw him catch the kicks, he was countering. I thought those were big shots. Other than that, I thought Pereira pretty much was able to just do a little bit more. I thought the takedown on the last round was good too. I think my thing with Pereira is, like, he does a lot of feints and a lot of movements, but doesn't really do a lot with it. And I would love to see him use those feints and do more moves with it, because I think he does make it difficult for opponents to land on him, and just like Chaos Williams, he was having a hard time trying to find a rhythm and trying to find a beat on where Michelle was going to be at. And I think if he could just put some strikes together, like a Stephen Thompson, where Stephen Thompson, you watch his fights, he's throwing feints and he's doing moves, and he's able to land and he's able to keep you guessing. If Michelle can do that and mimic that style, where not really the karate stance, but just tap, 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 just piecing it together, like I think that will make him much more of a dangerous opponent.
Yeah, I think he's dangerous overall because of the level of athleticism he presents in any fight. But again, stringing it together is going to be the big issue, because if you just have this insane athleticism, but you're not really doing much with it, there's going to come a point where there's a person who's going to be able to beat you.
Right.
That fight, and then the Marcin Tabura versus Greg Hardy, giving Greg Hardy his first, I believe, UFC loss, first MMA loss, maybe.
Okay.
Sorry. This is his first knockout loss.
Let me ask you this: Do you think Greg Hardy should be fired from the UFC?
No.
Okay. There is that group of people, right or wrong, that believe Greg Hardy should be out the UFC. I understand their reasons why.
Is it?
Yes.
Is it because of lack of experience, or is it because of outside? Because of his history? His history, I know, is a touchy subject. I know there's been things that's happened in his past, and then of course he's gone to court and things like that. I guess we wouldn't have to get into that because we've already talked about that during his debut and all that.
Yeah.
But I know there's an inexperience with Greg Hardy. Especially you saw that today when he was on the ground. I mean, last night, I should say. And Marcin Tabura, it's his fourth win over in 2020. So I think he's projecting himself to be in a good position to ask for better fights in 2021.
Right.
But with that being said, I don't think he should leave UFC. No, I don't think he should.
No, I understand I perfectly understand the reasons why Greg Hardy is looked at in that way. But I'm not calling for him to lose his job. I'm not calling for anybody to lose their job. I don't want JDS to go. I didn't want Yoel Romero to go. I don't want these things to happen. With Greg Hardy, I think Greg Hardy is still a name, and I think Greg Hardy is still somebody that we're still seeing him grow and perform. And like last night, I thought round one he had a great performance. Like it looked really, really good at round one. It's just round two when he got to the ground, he didn't really have anything to do.
Hardy's getting better.
Right.
Hardy's getting better. It's just that there's someone better. There's always going to be someone better. That's
right. And he has credible wins as well. It's not like he's not winning against anybody. So there's that. I think he's also young for that division as well. Let me see how old is Greg Hardy. I think Greg Hardy is in his early 30s.
Yeah,
32. He's 32. He's 32 in the heavyweight division. So now is not the time. If you're UFC, you invested all this time and all this bad publicity on taking Greg Hardy in.
Yeah.
I don't see them getting rid of him that fast. He's still an investment.
He beat some of your up and coming guys. He's lost to some top good fighters. You've already invested. There's no reason to cut the losses now. There's just
if it continues.
Yeah. Sure, but as of right now, no.
No, I thought, and one other thing I'm interested in is just he has asthma, right? So how does that work? So are you is there gonna be some rule or is there something in place where he can actually take an inhaler?
Yeah, well, we saw in one of the fights.
Yeah, but that's important though.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's something I want to explore as well. Is he allowed to use an inhaler? Especially if he's fighting. You know what I mean? I think that's a fair advantage. Not fair, it's an even playing field when you're able to say, yeah, you know what I'm saying? If somebody has asthma and you know that he can't go a certain amount of things without it, I think
that presents issues.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So that's things that I want to just see more transparency in 2021. But I don't think it's time to cut Greg Hardy just yet. I think if it continues, if he keeps losing, I think, yeah,
Like any other fighter, right? UFC will get rid of you if you're losing a lot of fights. And like
yeah,
and I never want to see anyone lose, but there's two people who have to fight, and it has to be a winner and it has to be a loser.
right,
And so that's just the name of the game. If he continues to lose, then understandably they will cut him. That is it.
right. But not now.
No.
No. Yeah, I mean that was pretty much
Oh, and
the
then
card itself.
Anthony Pettis had a really good showing at welterweight against Alex Morono.
Yeah. So okay. So the biggest thing for me, Anthony Pettis did what he was supposed to do, which I think is you know sometimes when you face guys on your last fight in your contract, sometimes things happen. You lose that fight, and then you're not negotiating power. Now he has negotiating power going into his next contract. Again, where at times where UFC is cutting people.
Yeah.
He said he wants to go at 155. Is there a fight off the bat you think at 155 that you think he would want to take?
I'm pretty sure he said he called out Tony Ferguson. I'd love to see them run it back.
Nope.
Maybe a very interesting fight. I don't know if he gets that. Tony would probably want that. That doesn't end well for Tony, I think, in my opinion. I would love to see him maybe re-get that fight against Diego Ferreira, where he lost and got submitted. There's a good amount of fights presented to him. Drew Dober, Gregor Gillespie. I know Islam Makhachev is definitely out. Beneil Dariush.
I was going to say Paul Felder is the fight to me to make.
Okay, so I don't know if they because they fight out of they. It seems like they fight out of the same camp with
Yeah.
So I don't like. I'm always skeptical. Yes, I think that's a great matchup. I don't know if it comes to fruition because they fight from the same camp. Like some guys are willing to do it, some guys aren't. I don't know. So I generally never mention it. Honestly,
they're both in the top. They're both top 10 guys.
Hear me out.
Mm.
Who did Anthony Pettis lose the title to? At lightweight.
Who did he lose the title to? Did he lose to RDA?
Yes, he did, sir.
He did.
Yes,
Okay.
he did, sir. Run that back. Pettis could make a strong 2021 if he beats RDA.
Oh, you're right. You know what I'm thinking? You know what I'm thinking?
How I know? What?
Yeah, how you know that?
Oh, because remember, we bet on that fight. That was one of the first fights we started betting on, and I won because I was like, RDA is the man to do it. I was like, RDA finished Benson Henderson. He can beat this guy, and I was like, boom. And I remember that was like one of the first fights. Like that was one of the first fights we were like, yeah, like who you got? Like this is it.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I totally forgot about that fight. Just off the fact of like my memories of RDA is him losing to Eddie Alvarez.
Yeah,
that's my biggest memory of RDA at lightweight. But yeah, he was the champion. He did beat Pettis. So yeah, you can run that fight back.
I see no issues with that fight. That's a perfect fight. Two big very names. That could be a main event for a fight night.
And RDA is in the top 10. He's ranked number 7. So yeah, that fight, and then he fights somebody maybe in the top 5 if he beats RDA.
Hey man, now we're thinking because I think Pettis was going on talking about he wants to be in terms of fighter management. Now, if we're looking to get that big payday before we go off into the sunset, what's getting us to the belt as quick as possible?
Yeah.
All right.
I agree. I definitely agree. Yeah. So I thought overall this card was great. I thought the main card really delivered. I thought the last fights on the prelims were really good. I thought the Anthony Pettis fight was really good. I thought the women's bantamweight fight, I thought that was good. I thought there was a flying triangle, Jimmy Flick in the flyweight division. That flyweight division is continuing to grow. What do you think you give this card?
Okay, so I generally when I'm out, I always watch UFC with my friends. Like I'll be the one just like kind of off on the side just watching it because I'm always I got to prepare for the show. Or I'm just a fan. I wasn't pulled away from what I was doing. I was pulled away from what I was doing, but I generally tried to stay watching UFC. I didn't have the urge to watch UFC as much with this card. It was a great card, but the urgency wasn't there. Like, oh, I got to see this fight. So for me, I don't disagree with. I'm going to be nice and go B+, but I really don't disagree with Flathead Politics saying a C+.
Okay, that's interesting.
Sorry, B-, C+.
So I'm on the opposite side of it. I'm more of what I give last card. I gave an A+, right?
Yeah, last card we were pretty good.
I would say this is an A minus. I thought this card was really, really good. I thought the Stephen Thompson and Jeff Neal fight was a great display of skill for Stephen Thompson. Jeff Neal did the best he could to make it a fight.
You can do, yeah. Not much you can do.
I thought Rob Font win, and I thought that was good. I thought Josie Aldo's win over Chito Third was impressive. I thought the Michelle Pieta fight was what it was. I thought it was he's somebody that is going to if he continues to grow and he's actually put his strikes together and not faint so much and not do anything with it, I think he could be somebody that could be a force in that division. And I thought the Merchant Tabura fight, I thought as for a heavyweight fight, it was action packed. It was
really good. That Martian Tabura fight was really good.
It was really good. It was, Greg Hardy had the grid win, and Martian Tabura had to come back in the second round to finish Greg Hardy. I thought it was a really good heavyweight fight. Overall, yeah, I think it was just a solid card, and I think I would go an A minus. An A minus is good.
I'll be better. I'll be B. I'll go solid B, but I don't know if I would give it an A. But C plus in the fight. Elijah gets a B minus for stomping all over my boy King. Man, I don't listen. I advocated. You don't want to see it. You don't. You really. But Tyriece, I advocated as Case of being a very big guy at lightweight, and I was like, he's good. I've always advocated for him, but I just don't like that matchup for him. He could take the fight, and maybe if he wins, I'll shut up. But as of right now, I just don't see him. Case is good, but he's not beat Stephen Wonderboy Thompson good.
We don't know if he's title level contender good. As Stephen Thompson Stephen Thompson is a title contender level right now.
I would love to see Case get in the ring in 2021. I would love to see. I'm always a fan when I see him fight. I would love to see him he's beating Carlos Condit, one of my favorites. So I know he's a good guy. He's great at fighting. I just need him to be more active at welterweight. I want to see what he can do because he's a big guy. He has the skill set and he's growing. So
I would love to see where Stephen Thompson goes from it. But yes, for me, I thought it was an A minus. I thought it was a great way to end 2020. Great way to send us off in this year. I want to take this time to thank Flathead Politics. Thank you for watching the show. Thank you for commenting for the show. We definitely appreciate you. Load Code, Lego Poppy. There's so many people that have contributed to this show and now watched our show and helped watching us grow with the show. That we thank you. So everybody subscribing, people that watch the show, people that watched and left. We appreciate you anyway. We appreciate you.
Just showing up and seeing us is good enough. I appreciate
exactly, that. and just getting that vibe. This year started off. Me and you, we were trying to see how this was going to work, and
it was rough.
It was rough. Without any fights, and we're trying to figure this out. My first year in covering MMA as a journalist, you as a doctor or working in a hospital.
Actually, it's actually kind of funny because I was still in school. Yeah, I was still in school, man. I was still in school at the time we would keep going.
So like a lot of things where we're trying to, figure things out, and we're not really there's no really a blueprint on how to do this, and I thought our year one really committing and doing this, I thought we had a really good year. Thank you also to Brianna Van Buren. Thank you to Keith Lee. Thank you to
Keith Lee, man.
Jamal Hill.
Brianna Van Buren, great fighters.
People that gave me opportunities to do interviews and to talk with MMA fighters. I genuinely appreciate these things. So I'm appreciative of you, Elijah. Like, you are somebody that you were cautious about doing this at first. And then we kind of just both just said we're gonna just talk like we talk outside, just talk in front of a camera. Yeah. And this has been one of the best ways to spend my Sundays or Saturdays is just talking with you and talking about fights.
Well, we do it all the time, and I'm appreciative of you too, brother. We do it all the time. I'm scheduled because I come from work, I'm tired, there's a lot of things going on. So but when you were like we're talking already, we might as well just do it. And I'm like, Tyriece, I don't know. You're like, yo, Elijah, we're going to talk the same. I'm like, all right. Let's see where we go.
And you took that risk with me. And, we've had, I think, again, it's been my Sunday routine. It's been my, Wednesday I wake up and I'm happy for it. I'm grateful for it to be able to speak with you and to speak with, with Flathead Politics and all our viewers and to discuss these things. Like, to me, like this has made the year, and a year that has been a lot of chaos, a year of a lot of missed opportunities. We talked about the Honor Series. I may or may not have gone to Abu Dhabi to cover the UFC card.
I know. I remember you hit me up to like, yo, we might be going. I was like, what?
You know what I'm saying? So COVID happened, and a lot of big plans, a lot of things changed, and regardless of the fact, I've loved doing this, and
me too.
We signed off here, ending the year of 2020, looking to 2021, where again it gets a whole lot crazier, a whole lot busier. I can now say this: I have another MMA position that I'm working on. That is going to be a whole lot of fun, where a lot of analytics is going to be involved, which I can't wait to discuss. I'm now a pro wrestling writer. I now cover pro wrestling, which you're going to see, that kind of content kind of blending with the channel a little bit. So a lot of things and a lot of busy schedules for both me and you. You're moving on your career, and we're going to keep doing this show.
The problem is going back to school soon, so we're gonna be rocking and rolling. So
this year has been a challenge, and it's been something where we had to navigate together. I think next year I'm a hell of a lot excited for, because we've learned from this year. We have a lot more to go.
For sure.
So I want to thank everybody. Thank you for watching. Please like the channel. Please like the video. Tell us what you think.
Like, share, comment, subscribe.
Thank you, and we appreciate you all. We wish you a happy holidays. Stay safe. COVID is not over. This shit is still real. Stay close with your loved ones. Tell them that you love them, and spend these time together as a holiday.
And most importantly, take care of yourself. You can't take care of anyone else until you can take care of yourself, people. Remember that.
So, again, this is only the beginning. It gets a whole lot crazier for me and a whole lot creative, and we can't wait to discuss all these plans we're working on behind the scenes with you guys. So, again, we love you. Have a nice holiday. Hope everything is well. And signing off for 2020, my name is Tyriece Simon.
Elijah Jones.
And this has been MMA Renegade, episode 37. God bless. Like I said, we appreciate you, man. Have a nice day, guys.